Never like a dying fear of elevators. Death. Death.
That's what this video is all about.
Death is the action or fact of dying or being killed, the end of a life or organism.
The underlying cause of death refers to the disease, injury, or condition that initiates the chain of events that ultimately leads to a person's death. It's the primary factor that contributes to the fatal outcome. Hey, Asia. Death affects society by influencing cultural norms, social structures, economic systems, and psychological well-being. It shapes rituals, traditions, and beliefs. Impacts family structures and social relationships, and raises questions about mortality and the meaning of life.
For example, different cultures celebrate death differently or mourn. One being Dia de los Muertos, which is a Hispanic culture. They celebrate people's death or their loved ones November 1st and 2nd. They basically just make ofrendas, which are like shrines for those that passed, and offer them food that they loved while they lived. And yeah.
This is Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos. It's actually celebrated on 2 days of the year, November 1st and November 2nd. And so if you're from the US, that's pretty easy to remember because it's just one day after Halloween. The original version of Dia de los Muertos was celebrated by the Aztecs and other indigenous cultures in the summertime as a way to give offerings to the dead on their journey back into the spirit world. When Catholicism came in, it modified those traditions, infused them into its own, and moved it to November in order to coincide with their customs of All Hallows Eve on October 31st, All Saints Day on November 1st, and All Souls Day on November 2nd. So what's the deal with these dates? Well, on the night of October 31st, it's believed that the boundary between this world and the spirit world dissolves, meaning that the living and the dead are able to reunite. All Saints Day on November 1st is when the spirits of children are able to come and visit their family for 24 hours. And All Souls Day on November 2nd is when adults are able to do the same.
Hey y'all, April 4 through 6 is the seasonal term Qingming, bright and clear, also known as the Tomb Sweeping Festival. Temperatures begin to rise and rainfall increases, marking an important time for farmers to start sowing their seeds. This is a good time to reconnect with nature and to spend more time outdoors. Chinese tradition calls for honoring their ancestors during this festival. Rituals include paying respect and giving offerings such as incense, burning paper money, favorite foods, and flowers. Festival foods vary by region, but this is a popular herbal rice cake mochi made with moxa or mugwort. Eyes are the sense organ for the liver and an indicator of liver health. Traditionally, people also enjoy thin pancakes, eggs, and scallions for eye health and to prevent headaches.
Did you know that the people of Tanah Toraja bury their loved ones in cliffs? Tanah Toraja, located in South Sulawesi, is famous for its unique funeral traditions. The cliff graves, called londa, are carved into sheer rock faces where the deceased are placed in wooden coffins high above the ground. These graves reflect the Torajan belief that the soul continues its journey after death, and the higher the burial site, the closer the deceased is to the heavens. Effigies called Tau Tau are often placed near the graves to watch over the souls of the departed. The cliff graves of Tanah Toraja aren't just a burial site, they represent a deep cultural connection to ancestors and the afterlife, making it one of Indonesia's most sacred traditions. Have you ever explored Tanah Toraja's unique culture?
Another example is, say that a parental figure died in someone's family. An older sibling, uncle, or grandparent might have to step up and take that role, which can change the family dynamic. Death can cause all kinds of emotion, like despair, anger, and regret. But it can also create emotions like love and celebration and connection between other people.
Okay, death is something that contributes a lot to society as a whole, especially the population. Death is also important because it can help communities come together and mourn and support each other. At this point, with dealing with a loved one's death, you can really see the people around you who care and respect you. Yep, it's a very good indicator. There you go. Pay attention to who supports you. Hey. Along with mourning the death of a loved one, there are 6 stages of grief. As an individual, you would go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. It's not always the same for everyone.
Yeah, they don't always come in that order. Sometimes you could have depression, then bargaining, then denial, then anger, then acceptance,
Or none at all.
or none at all. Sometimes you could just accept it right away, or it could take longer for some people.
Depending on the reason.
Depending on the reason, depending
cause
on the
of
person.
death.
So.
And the relationship as
Yeah.
well. Oh.
So according to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, we have 5 stages of grief that we experience. Firstly being denial, secondly anger, next is bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. So whenever we experience denial, we reject the idea that what is happening is actually happening. Now when it comes to anger, of course frustration will come out both through feelings as well as the actions that we take. Next is bargaining, where we may try to bargain either with ourselves or a higher power. Next is depression, of course a severely lowered mood. And then finally, acceptance. Not to say that it has to happen in this order or that all have to be experienced, but according to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, this is known as the 5 stages of grief.
Not only does death help society by promoting reflection on people's lives and what they do with it, but it also reinforces cultural values and social norms, creating a space for new generations and ideas. If death didn't happen, then the population would be out of control and we wouldn't have enough resources to even keep us alive. And that we just live in misery forever and ever and ever. A structural functionalist would view death as a disruption to society, but it would make people reinforce social norms, values, maintain stability, and manage grief.